Hey yo, saludos para la gente que nos ve por YouTube, por Azteca, por Space y también por Facebook. Están a punto de ver un evento increíble que será un parteaguas en la lucha libre. Sí, ha llegado el día. Yo sé que tú lo sabías, yo sé que tú lo querías y que cuando lo verías enloquecerías. Bienvenidos todos a la TripleMania.
Por poquito me gana este rapero, en serio, ya que yo vengo más entero. Soy el más pesado de los raperos, tanto que podría ser el campeón hasta de peso crucero. Es lo que te digo si vengo tranquilo, entre las cuerdas estoy cayendo en el vinilo. En esta esquina tenemos al asesino, en esta otra lobo, el padrino de padrinos.
Y el público femenino tiene que estar contento porque el día de hoy hay un gran acontecimiento, porque en uno de los enfrentamientos las luchadoras también tendrán su reconocimiento.
Con razón, en cada verso como la lucha le meto pasión. De esta yo voy a quedar campeón, yo lo remato, pum pum, bala cañón.
Que vas a quedar campeón, ¿qué te pasa en la cabeza? Si apenas si das un golpe y ya todo te pesa. Empiezas y te pongo a hacer la limpieza. Oye mi niño, yo te convierto en hamburguesa.
¿Qué son estos?
¿Qué pasa, gente? Bienvenido a Lucha Talk. I'm your host, Dylan Fox. This is episode 160 of our show. And joining me now to talk Lucha once again, because we had to talk about this show. We could not let it slide. We could not let it go. We had to talk about it this month. El Año de Nuestro Dios 2023. To my virtual right, the man, the myth, and the producer, Bikerman Fever.
Hey, what's up? I can't wait to dig into TripleMania talk right now. What a show.
I'm very sad that Fredo's not here, because I think he really would have loved the show. I do think this was like on purpose that he's not here to watch the show. I don't think he watched the show, and I don't think he wanted to even hear us ask him to come on.
Well, I think he's just giving up on AAA.
He's not the only one. I think, he's in a very good spot right now in his life, and he left us to watch this show all the way into the dead of night, last night, nearly going into the G1 Climax final, like this show went into. So this was a long ass show, people. So if you are gonna watch this, if you're brave enough to want to watch this, especially after what we have to say, buckle up, because we're trying to warn you. We're going to straight shoot, just like the old school Lucha Talk, the old reviews we got, which was brutally honest about us, but was said as a positive, which I hope that you will all agree with as well. But yes, TripleMania Mexico City here. We talked about TripleMania last month, and last month it was in Tijuana. Now this is in Mexico City, the biggest show of the year for AAA in Arena Ciudad. And man, Micro, I gotta ask you one thing before we start. Going into this show, what was your vibe on this show? What was your excitement level for this major show?
For this show, I think you saw the announcement for the card, and TripleMania in Mexico City is the one that's gonna have people remember what AAA did in the year. And what a card they unleashed here. The top three matches, all four ways, back to back to back. I think that really just set the tone for what was to come as a viewer. We got the big surprise, QT Marshall, in Tijuana. At first it was a tag team ambulance match, and then now it wasn't anymore because you can't do tag team ambulance match because you might need like two ambulances and they only have one, or whatever was the case there. That got changed. And AAA's just been, waiting for the last minute on everything. Even negotiations with Roosh, see if he would continue with the company. They got him to extend his deal, or, cause he previously quit on them, ended up coming back and takes part in the Tijuana show, and now this show.
And he will quit on them again.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's done after this. You expect a lot more from AAA, who they were bringing in, but one of the positives was Mike Bailey from Impact. I think he's a great talent, and one of the few people that's known to American fans that is going to get their attention. Even with that involvement from foreign talent, not a lot of foreign interest in the show, from what I saw on social media. Not a lot of activity compared to other past year's events, past TripleManias. really reduced number of interest and talk going around about the show is, the card doesn't grab your attention. And it has to start with that main event, the mask match, mask hair, 4-way. Everyone knew the result going into this, even before, this set of TripleMania shows started, you knew Psycho Clown and Sam Adonis were going to have a hair and mask match sometime this year. And Sam Adonis was getting a haircut. So, it's just, you're already starting with a losing hand if you're AAA. And people might say that's because Sam Adonis is, Sam Adonis, not really a big star in Mexico. And they're right, he's not. He just doesn't have that name. He doesn't have that star power that it takes to fill the arena, as we saw.
Are you telling me this wasn't a sold-out show?
Well, you saw all those empty seats there.
Yes.
They did their best to really hide them all on the cameras there.
By cutting 1 million times during the show.
Yeah, all the camera. Well, that's a whole other issue with production we'll get into as we go on. But yeah, I think lack of star power. That's a big issue in AAA right now. And it stems a lot from issues where they've had spoiled relationships with talent and burned bridges, because that's kind of like where it all starts for AAA and all these issues. They've fought and made up with guys all these times in the past, and even now you see, with Roosh and LA Park, they fought. They broke up and now they're back together. And it happens at all levels, the main eventers, semi-main event, middle card, lower card guys. They quit, they come back, they make up, they quit again, they leave. Some never come back. And it attributes to the problem, they can't be consistent with what they do. And they've started storylines at the beginning of the year and really have failed to complete most of them. It's just, even with them having money to run shows, they chose not to choose, to book foreign guys and guys that aren't in stories and throw them in a match. And it's just strange how, Conan and other bookers there, strategize how to put these shows together. It's all like compounds together into this big problem. And you saw it right here on TripleMania.
There's so many problems when you talk about this show. One thing I was thinking about when QT, after he won his match, and you kind of bringing up the ambulance match made me think, because this kind of reminded me a little bit of the Wembley Stadium show AEW's doing. I know QT's got some booking power in there, and at least he got the ear of people with booking power. And it made me think about it. They did the double ambulance match, but couldn't get it done because it's stupid. It makes no sense how you could get two people in the ambulance. And now AEW's doing a double coffin match. Like a very similar situation with the same issues, I would say, that two people will not be able to fit in one coffin. It seems like they just kind of recycled an idea from here and did it in AEW. And in return, they've recycled the idea of not building any matches on the show from AEW Wembley here. So it feels like there's good synergy between the promotions, at least. Maybe that was kind of an edict they wanted to do, kind of have very similar strategies between the two. Maybe Conan gets on the good side of some people in AEW, shows them that, I'm just like you. And they proved it here.
Yeah, and they made changes to the card. Like that day, Brian Cage can't make it into the show, and so Tejano Jr. shows up.
They were well prepared for that match. What we're going to talk about there. But yeah, like you said too, pretty much a ghost town. I was talking to people, but they were like native Mexicans, speaking in Spanish. No real English speaking presence outside of the soldier of Lucha Libre, Cubs fan, who was there the whole night. I saw it on his feed. I even saw it on his website. He posted a thing where he was like, "Man, I'm so glad I never agreed to review this show." There, even before the show happened, he was already down on it because he mentioned it. Because I've seen him do reviews before on Post Wrestling, which is a website I have a lot of friends at, and he's obviously a great writer. But he said that he didn't do it. He says, maybe I just forgot to ask, but I'm glad that I didn't do it. I think after watching this show, he was really glad that he didn't agree to do it. But if you go to his Twitter feed, or X feed, you will see that he wrote a lot about this show, actually. He was there the whole time of the show, and God, I just couldn't wait for the show to end at certain points for so many reasons. If there's one success of the show, I would say, is that at a certain point they moved the show onto a feed in Mexico on HBO Max. They had the deal there for that. And a lot of people started watching when that came on there. Like, that's when a bunch of people jumped on. Because even before, even the Spanish speakers, it wasn't exactly buzzing. But after that happened, you saw a lot more people use the hashtag for TripleMania. So, at least from a merchandise or advertising standpoint, that worked out really well. And I'm sure that all the fans who tuned in were just electric at the matches they saw, the 3 matches on the show here. But that wasn't all. We didn't just have 4-way matches. Oh, that's another thing that was like AEW too. AEW did a storyline where they talked about how they needed to do a women's 4-way because they have a history of great 4-ways. But TripleMania, they just outdid AEW with 3 straight fatal 4-way matches to end the show. So, again, a lot of synergy here I'm sensing between the company. I think Conan may be making a play for an AEW job, booking the show, because I don't want to get in his head, but I definitely don't. I want to believe somewhere in my heart that this is not the best someone could do when trying to put a show together. But we got this here. So many things happened on this show, but first of all, let's go ahead and talk about what we kind of alluded to a second ago before we get to the matches themselves, because a huge problem with this show, in my opinion, was the production quality. I mean, you name it. Everything sucked. The camera work, the booking, the commentary getting played, the audio. There was a technical difficulty for me in one match. Maybe it was just my internet, but everything.
Yeah. The signal from the venue, just quit.
Yeah, see, so it wasn't just for me, it was for everybody. So literally, like, everything that could have gone wrong, basically, it was all, like, if you were going to give AAA a report card for this show, I think it would have to be straight Fs in terms of production values. I think that one show they did the first time, the one with the Villanos and Mystico and Rey Mysterio in the main event, the one that got all messed up the whole time, I think that had better production values than this show this year.
Oh, I thought the production, was terrible. I mean, to me, that's usual AAA. That's classic AAA, having terrible production value, and this was no different. Yeah, all these issues happened. I really couldn't get over the commentary playing over everything, just drowning out all the other audio sources. All you heard was commentary. You didn't get to hear what was going on in the match. I think that's one of the most important qualities when you're watching wrestling on the TV or whatever, however you are watching, getting to hear what's going on and, sound of the mat and the crowd. That's the most important quality when it comes to a Lucha Libre event. The crowd is special. You don't get this type of crowd and interaction in any other wrestling. So when you take that out of what's going on, it's very, very bad.
And one of the few strengths of last month's show I mentioned, say what you want about the quality, but it felt like a big event just looking at it, on the camera. Like, the venue looked really nice, the outdoor event. This show looked like crap. Like, there was, like you said, all kinds of empty seats. You couldn't hear the fans. It felt like a dead crowd with a crazy product. Like you said, the commentary going on and on over the loudspeakers. Like, who is making decisions? It made me feel like they try to get as many people on these cards as they can. But because they fly in a bunch of foreigners, they have open spots. So the luchadors that aren't on the show, they have them doing camera work, plugging in stuff. So I think that's my conspiracy theory on AAA. They're using some people that weren't on the show. They don't actually hire a production team. They just let the luchadors try to figure it out themselves. I think that's what we get here.
You don't really think Mini Psycho Clown and Caris La Momia are working the cameras?
Those would be the exact 2 that I pegged, actually, for this. And I definitely predicted that. And look where it got us, at the end of the day. I think Tejano, he was going to be, and that may be why the production got so messed up. If he were there, he's the head guy. And they had to take him back and put him in a match, so he couldn't handle the production values. That's why the camera work was going crazy there. And you couldn't see anything, you couldn't hear anything. And it kind of like, the more I watched it, it was like I was in an alternate dimension or something. Like, it felt like, because they kept going on, and it just kind of left a ringing sound in my ears, almost. Like, I was worried that something bad was, like, happening to me. But it was just a result of watching the show, just because of the poor production values. at the end of the day. And I think that they need to actually hire a production team. And if they do that, maybe we'll get some easier shows to watch, even if the show itself is not good. But let's get into the show itself now, because God knows that we cannot get away from the show, no matter how much we wish we could. And if there's one thing that you wanted to see, Micro, I know that it was a women's match.
That's right.
Las Toxicas and Chica Tormenta, they took on Dali's, Lady Shani, and Sexy Star. And if there's one thing we all want, it's more Dali's in our life. And we got that here. What did you think here?
Well, this match is pretty much there to get the crowd going, send out the women, get everyone's attention, and let's go from here, because this was really just an okay match. Maybe gets in the good territory because of the table spots, but everything was just set up, and the women were just go, and Hijo de Tirantes was there playing a major role in it, and gave the Toxicas the win with the fast count. Just a match to get everyone going. No real plans for this or storyline behind this, or what's coming out of here. Nothing really. I guess just more Hijo de Tirantes involvement later on.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what this match ended up setting up. He actually attacked Lady Shani from behind after Shani attacked him first, and then he turned back and he got her, and that's what led to the finish with Chica Tormenta driving her through the table, and with the fast count, like you said. There was the cookie sheets going on here. It was a goofy match, to be honest, a plunder brawl. There was a certain charm to it if you like this style of match, but hardly anything special. And the end result was, as I said, Hijo de Tirantes attacked Lady Shani and gave her the win, and then his dad came out and beat up Io. So
yes, Tirantes. I thought I thought he looked good for his age.
Who's the Rudo in this?
Clearly, Hijo. Tirantes is a good guy.
Yeah, because he's a long-time Rudo ref, and now.
Yeah, actually, they're both evil.
But now he's good because he's fighting his evil son.
Yeah, this is where WWE got the idea for Rey and Dominic.
Well, I mean, I would say Hijo de Tirantes might be as talented as Dominic. I don't think we can compare Tirantes to Rey Mysterio, unfortunately. But definitely a similar storyline. The emotions are coming. They get a big spot. Hey, Tirantes, he probably got a payoff for this show. So that's something. There was somebody on Cage Match that actually reviewed this show. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. This guy, shout out to Rudikoff, and he gave this match a 7 out of 10. What a generous reviewer here. And I would not give it a 7 out of 10. Probably a bit lower, pretty easily. But listen, I like the fandom here. I like the review. I like the positivity we got going on here. I mean, that could have been the match of the night, ultimately. At least until the Mega Title match, anyway. But instead, we get the Copa Bardal. And what a list of names we had here. We had everybody. That's literally how we previewed it last month. And I said, there's going to be these people and you're going to be like, everybody's in this match. You said. And you were right. You had Willie Mack, Pagano, Octagon Jr., Nino Hamburguesa, Mrs. Jr., Murder Clown, Mr. Iguana, Commander, Dave, Arez, Aramis, and Laredo Kid, who ended up winning. And if there's one thing we love, it's our Copa TripleManias. What'd you think? Yeah,
I mean, it's the same Rumble type match that they've had on every show leading up to here. I don't think we really saw that much feeling rivalries going on in this match besides Pagano. And he was the last entrant. He came out, but was attacked by Tejano Jr. And they did a couple spots on the stage, and he had a forklift already prepared, and with the platform, and tossed Pagano off.
That took an awful bump.
Yeah.
It looked like he hit the cement.
Yeah. He was supposed to land on these 2 tables that were stacked, but, he only hit the top one and then flew off to the side. Pagano with the worst luck, ends up taking a massive spill. I'm surprised he's not hurt from that.
Hopefully he's okay. I mean, it's bad enough you were on the show. We don't want anyone to get hurt on it. Did they do the same spot with, like, Hiedra coming out to help Iguana, like, multiple times probably in these multiple Copa TripleManias that we've seen?
She came out. Yeah, she came out. Iguana still got eliminated.
Yeah, he didn't help in the end, but she tried to help him.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the big payoff, because other times we've seen it be successful. So this time it didn't work. And this there was a part of this match which the feed went out on here, so we missed some stuff.
Yeah, we missed some eliminations, but it's a nothing match. The winner just gets the trophy. It just serves to get everyone on the show. And at that, you look at the show and it's a reduced roster, so you could see the evidence of, money problems in AAA.
This match went forever, though. Like I said, it was like the longest Copa TripleMania, it felt like. I don't know how much time it was. Caterpillar doesn't have it listed, but it felt like it had to be at least half an hour. I don't have any evidence of this to back it up. It just felt like a long time. Maybe it was like 12 minutes. Secretly.
I was thankful it was over finally, and we got to the next match with Taya versus Lady Flammer for the Reina de Reinas.
Yep, that's right. I thought that, they tried hard in this match. I have to say, out of all of them, I thought that they really did. Taya looked pretty good overall here. This is kind of her style of match, like a brawling type of deal where she worked in. You got the blood here that kind of made it a little bit better. You had Las Toxicas come in there as well to kind of put everything over. It was over the top type of stuff. Taya tried to be like Superman Taya here to fight everybody. And then, basically everybody interfered. Maravilla blasted Taya with the steel chair, and then, Flammer hit, the Fire Thunder driver for the win. I mean, it was a lot of interference, but again, this was a lot shorter. This is listed as only 10 minutes on Cage Match, and I thought it was like, okay for what it was. Like one of the better matches on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I thought that was one of the better matches on the show. I thought it was actually good. Taya just started to bleed at the beginning of the match, and then Flammer took control from there, and then Taya just never stopped bleeding. I think Lady Flammer was a really good opponent. I think she looked very good in the match, and her offense all looked really strong. I think
finish was good too.
Yeah, she was hitting everything with force. I think it was the right decision to make the title change. And Flammer, she's someone that can be there at TV tapings and defend the title, or be involved in things and matches and do house shows and be something that you can sell promoters. So, with Taya, she's pretty much stuck to working in the U.S. This is where she got made in a way. And she really enjoyed, this match. You could tell.
Yeah, and like you said, I thought they both did a good job. And I really liked the effort. I really think Taya did a great job of taking a match type that could be not good, actually, like a bunch of interference and stupid stuff, and things could just turn into a train wreck. But I thought she did a great job of keeping things on track. And like you said, Flammer, I thought her offense was good, and it feels like at least with this Reina de Reinas title, again, nothing against Taya. She's had great matches in the past in AAA, and been around like for a long time in the past, and like you said, got her start here really in terms of the mainstream wrestling. It seems like she got to have a lot of fun here, and like I said, got to relive some good stuff that, AEW, you don't know what they're going to do with anybody at any given moment. So, it worked out pretty well. Like I said, this was a good match, one of the better ones, I would say. And at least with this Reina de Reinas title, it feels like they're doing something with Toxicas, like here, and Flammer is the right choice of the three, I would say, to be the champion.
Yeah, that's a positive that they're doing the title change and trying to make someone stand out in a bigger way.
At least somebody got made on this show. We needed that.
Yeah, unlike the next match.
Oh, well, somebody got made in that, just not a luchador overall. This is where we came in. They did this deal where they cut to Marcella with the urns with her. And they pulled out like Antonio Pena and Joaquin Roldan, flags, and Ilda Vikingo brought them out.
Oh yeah, they started the show for a third time.
Yes. I think this is when they cut to the HBO. Yeah. So it is whole deal. And then they did this ridiculous video on Negro Casas and Nicho. Here to bring this in. I mean, that's another production element that we could criticize. I mean, these videos were like so like unrealistic. Like they're, I didn't know what to think when I was watching, to be honest. But I guess on one hand, yes, they were bad, but on the other hand, we can at least applaud them for trying, which is more than you'll get a lot of times, I guess. And as you said, this match made nobody. Nicho and Negro Casas here. You got a legitimate legend from CMLL that nobody expected would leave. And this is what we had for him. This match with Nicho. And the main character to me was Oxino here, the battle rapper from last month. That was the best part of the match to me.
You're right about, Negro Casas, one of the CMLL stars that you never thought you would see in AAA. And this is what they do with them, just terrible. If I had Negro Casas, he'd be like a major player for me. But, in AAA, no way. You're doing a hardcore match and you're really old and you might get hurt, but you're doing a hardcore match. So.
Yeah, this match was practically a match between Oxino and Argenis. It was here, like they did as much as the other guys. Like, Oxino, man, he took some shots with the kendo stick. Everything he's trying to bump here. I don't know why he came back after last month. They didn't have the MMA guy, Nicho, though. So, like, this feud is only halfway. Instead, we got Argenis, who is an MMA, definitely a stand-in, you could say.
I just want Argenis to go away. Like, he lost his mask.
Go away forever.
Yeah, I mean, you've got nothing going on. But here he's just being the crap out of Assassino and Nicho. Going back to the match, Nicho, I thought he looked horrible in the lead up to this one. So did Negro Casas too. I think he didn't look very good at all. But, those were trios matches and this was one-on-one. So for me, the match got better because there was less, people moving around and things to control. And it was more of a brawl than a match going on here. And Casas hasn't been in brawls in a long time. So he was back to it here. Nicho just cutting corners and using weapons from the start. And you saw Negro hold off until he caught Argenis in the ring with the trash can lid. I do think he timed out everything really well, and he just knows how to do things to get the maximum effect. So that was something to see there from Negro. Nicho, I think his strength was what he based his entire career off of, was selling big and being a base, playing into Negro's offense, and he really set up the thumbtacks well there. Casas taking forever to get his boot off for the big spot. I think that really was like kind of halted things, but for what it was, you saw these two legends go head to head, and it was good for what it was. I think it didn't reach quality that you're expecting, but you're working with Nicho that's down to two legs that don't really work that well.
Yeah, like you said, they did a spot where they put Argenis in the trash can, hit him with the chair. Did you notice the thumbtacks were like rainbow colored here? It wasn't just one color, the thumbtacks. The finish was, like you said, Casas was trying to untie Nicho's boot, and then he stomped the foot into the tacks, and that somehow led to the La Casita for the win here. So this definitely isn't a match he's very used to in a long, long time. Yeah, I just thought this was bad stuff, man. I was not a big fan of this at all. I will say this was not my least favorite match on the show. And that's, when you look at the standards these two worked at, that's saying something. But I also think that with Negro Casas, you're in a tough spot, because if you look at the roster they built, who can really play to his strengths in this company? I mean, you're looking at a handful of guys at most overall. Like, if he did something with maybe Psycho Clown, I think they could get something out of that. Or Roosh, maybe Tejano.
He's partnered with Psycho, so
yeah.
I don't think that anything with him's gonna work. Triple A do like to do like the family feud thing, so
that's true.
That's like a possibility here. And
Tejano,
yeah, I think Tejano, just because he's from that CMLL school,
Yeah, exactly.
He knows what it takes to work a match like that with him. Well, never works everyone, so they just like choose to go this way with him, which is really just stupid, dumb, and just like a way for them to put AAA, like put them on a pedestal,
I think that you could get something out of him versus Vikingo in a match.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Break Vikingo out of his comfort zone, and then I think their opposites could actually improve both guys. Like, it leads to something good if they got into it. But what did Rudikov say about this match? He gave this a 2 out of 10, so he clearly was not a very big fan of this either. He did say that the young guys on the outside added energy, so he praised Argenis and Accessino here, at least. Which is kind of what I felt too. Like, I honestly felt the same thing. Like, Accessino, not even Argenis, I didn't think he added anything, to be honest. Other than being a punching bag kind of at the end. But Accessino, I could get down with more of him on these shows. I still don't know why he's here, but whatever. As I said, I didn't like this match at all, but, it was not the worst match on the show, and we will talk about that in a second. But first, we had the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which was based on Cassandro, who was like, an exotico, like the best exotico ever, pretty much. There's this movie coming out, that it's about him. It's like a biography. And they came in there with like this mascot that came in there. I didn't know what was going on with all of this. There was tons of them coming in there.
You don't know Dr. Simi?
There was like a La Parca that was like doing a dance coming out there. Parca Negra came out, like was giving people some dolls. Then they showed, to me, the highlight of the show, a video on Mortal Kombat here, where the characters, like, they came out, like, the cosplayers or whatever. And it was pretty freaking awesome. And they announced that for the new Mortal Kombat game, which I am very hyped for, they're going to have a Dia de Muertos edition of Sub-Zero, who is my favorite character as well. And it looked pretty awesome, to be honest. Again, that may have been my highlight of this show, was the Mortal Kombat announcement. But I was so, like, laughing at this segment. There was, like, so many mascots, people coming out randomly, cosplayers, and all based around what's supposed to be a legendary induction. I mean, but on the other hand, wouldn't you want to be honored in a segment with all of this stuff in it? A wonderful tribute to a AAA legend, there. But to make matters worse, I would have watched that. I would have watched literally a 45-minute segment of all of that stuff I just talked about, rather than the match we saw next, which was the Latin American title match. Pentagon Jr., Dralistico, QT Marshall, and replacing Brian Cage, Tejano Jr. Pentagon had a crazy entrance, where he had a bunch of Pentagon cosplayers come out. They danced as well. I think Dancing La Parca may have done double duty as one of the fake Pentagons here. They had a guy do his theme song live, and that was cool. But I mean, this match, oh my god! First of all, the fact that QT won is just bananas. Like, who could possibly book that? Even if you were sold on it, even if you got paid off, are you really going to sell your soul here? The soul of AAA, whatever is left of it, not that they ever really had one, but if they did, you're gonna drive things this far into the mud? Is this how far we've fallen? That alone is enough to make this a bad match. Like, that alone offers so many questions and things we can criticize. But then you look at the match. This might have been the worst match of the year. Like, in any promotion, I think. There was stuff here. I highly advise everybody, once again, to go to Cubs fans page, because on X, on Twitter, he put a GIF up of the greatest spot in AAA history, where they were building up to a fear factor through the table. It was Dralistico and Pentagon Jr., but then the table just fell, and so they just stopped fighting and helped each other put the table up, so they could go right back to the fear factor. And then the table didn't break. I laughed so much at how Cubs fan laid it out on his. See, that's like, everybody knows Cubs fans is super genius when it comes to Lucha Libre and wrestling, but he's actually an underrated comedic force if you know what you're looking for from him. But there was so much stupid.
Don't encourage him.
I don't want to encourage him to watch these shows. That's what I don't want to encourage him to do, because I worry about him sometimes that, I don't want him to be so unhappy watching these shows like I was watching this match, which, as I said, certainly one of the worst matches of the year, but not just because of QT. He was terrible, as you would expect. Everybody sucked in this match. Like, there was no question about it. Tejano was the least embarrassing, but even he could not save anything about this. I thought everybody sucked here. Everybody was going around. They did a spot where QT did this like a barrage of RKOs on everybody. Looked awful. It's stupid. Then they did a spot where then suddenly Io Tarantes was helping out QT being his heel. Didn't you learn your lesson from the women's match earlier? Like, come on, right now. And then in the end, it all led to QT. After they did the spot with the Fear Factor, QT actually pulled Penta's mask off, which is the exact same thing they did on AEW this week. I want to point that out. They did the exact same finish that they did on AEW with Pentagon's mask getting pulled off to lead to a roll up, and now QT is the champion. Just total weirda.
Yeah, this one stunk. Pentagon, the real star in this match, getting dragged down by the other three. Because really that's the perception of the fans in Mexico. They think Pentagon's one of the top guys, and you see him in this match, fighting for like a secondary title. It just really like takes him down a step. And especially coming off of that big win against Viana 4, that's like a career defining moment. And then next year you're in this match with these guys. Like, what is that? Just like, are you like trying to sabotage Pentagon, putting him in this match? Like,
and
wow.
You could tell that he put no effort into this match. He didn't give a single crap about any of this. Just like I said, that spot with the table, I thought he looked awful in the match, in all honesty. And I don't blame him for not caring, especially knowing how it was going to go down, especially with the same finish we saw again. It's like, what is the purpose of this? Are they really stupid enough to think that he's going to draw in American fans to watch at AAA? To have QT?
Yeah, they're fortunate enough to have Pentagon because he really belongs to AEW, but they get him in here for this big event, and this is what they do with him. QT, 0 buys in Mexico. I think personally he works like a guy you create in a video game, like, because he does like all these random power moves and flips. It's like, just let me get like the biggest damage moves, and that's what QT does. To me, he just doesn't connect. Maybe because how they rushed everything to bring him in. You could have built up someone for the spot and had a better payoff, but they chose to go with someone from another company, and maybe that's part of the agreement that if they come in, they're coming in to win the belt. It was just like doomed from the start.
And we know it's a guy that's pushing himself. This is a guy with office power. It's not because of his wrestling ability, or definitely not his star power. This is a guy, and I have nothing against him personally. Like, I don't know him at all. All reports say he's a nice guy and all that, so it's nothing personal. But it's just, you have to be logical about some of this stuff. This is clearly a guy that, it's a nepotism push practically, just he's not actually related to Tony Khan or Conan. And so when you see that happening, it just shows where the company is right now. Their priorities are out of whack. The inmates are running the asylum. I hated this match so much. It was the worst on the show, and even more than these other ones, like that you could argue, like the main event or whatever. I just thought this sucked.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't at the level of a pay-per-view. Of a house show, maybe, yes, but for TripleMania especially, no way. Maybe because, QT's here because he's like the one guy for sure you can keep getting to bring in. So maybe that's where that's coming from.
Yeah, that's the level of TripleMania. If this match happened in my backyard, I'd walk out the door and fire a gun off up in the air until they left. I wouldn't watch them for free. If they tried to pay me, I wouldn't watch this crap. I thought this was awful. At the end of the day, hopefully the good news is that, like you said, last year you had that amazing moment with Penta and Beyond 4, which is a legendary match, great ending. Everybody loved it. And now you see this is what you have for them to follow up with. And it's not like anything on their freaking space show has anything to do with any of their booking. It's like they just go from TripleMania to TripleMania at this point. But the good thing is that it's all over. And maybe one day.
Well, you haven't seen the end of QT in AAA.
Well, that is, you're right about that. But the match at least is over. Maybe, because last month's match wasn't good, but it was way better than this. Like the singles match with him and Penta, I'm not gonna say it was a good match, but it was like a generic brawl, at least. Like a AAA brawl with all the stuff that you would want in that. So I thought that was okay. Not good by any means, but still much better than this. And hopefully we can at least get back to that. And we never see a match like this ever again. But then we had the big title, the mega title match, Il Vikingo, and we have our favorite match type, the four-way match. Daga, Mike Bailey, and Jack Cartwheel. All outsiders coming in. None of them mean that much to the Mexican fans. Daga was a mid-card guy years ago. And now he's gone on to be a grunge indie geek now. And Bailey, a great talent, like you said, at TNA, and Jack Cartwheel, an indie guy with a name. I mean, I've heard of him. And this was by far the best match on the show, I will say, overall. Like, there was stuff that went a little south. Cartwheel is kind of like this young guy here pretty much. I thought Vikingo, as always, looked great here. Bailey was good. And even Daga, he was kind of the more heel type of player at certain points. But, they did a spot where he hit a low blow for the win. Or not the win, but near fall, rather. And we saw Vikingo bloodied at one point. I don't even know how he got bloodied. I just saw him come with blood at one point. But they did a spot where in the end, Vikingo hit the 630 on Cartwheel, and Daga tried to dive in at the last second. But the count counted anyway. So Vikingo won. And yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Like for a Spot Fest 4-way, you've seen a lot worse than this.
Yeah, I too thought it was the best match on the show and a very good match overall. I personally come around on Jack Cartwheel. At first, I wasn't really into him, but, I appreciate him now. I think he reminds me a lot of Jack Evans, but he's, I would say, less spectacular. And in the match, he was just getting beat up a lot, being a test dummy for these other guys. And the main thing I took away was how AAA books Vikingo, because, he's in this match and he's not being able to face top stars that are around right now. Conan or whoever's booking the whole team is just, trying to spread out the stars throughout the whole show, but it just weakens everything overall. And the guys that they managed to bring in are guys that are just hot in the moment. It's never like a big star from the past. So you can help transition Vikingo into that next level star that he's supposed to be. He's just not really been a big priority for them. And I think that's my main problem with them. And, what I take from seeing him in these matches, he's constantly in these multi-person matches. It feels like he's been doing these same type of matches for years. And now that he's champion, they still put him in these, and he rarely gets to stand on his own. And I don't think I'm the only one that sees this. I think other fans notice this too. They see him. People are gonna say, Vikingo, yeah, he's the top guy. Really, all I see him in are in these four-ways or whatever multi-person scramble type of matches. So there's a argument there where people aren't really going to buy him as the top star that he can be. And that's because, AAA is doing. And I think you have to go back to how AAA's burned bridges in the past with other top stars, and they don't have that reach anymore to guys that they can bring in and help make new stars. And that's what's really missing, across the board in, other promotions too. AAA, it's really stands out that you don't have that And AAA, they could benefit from reaching out to someone like Dr. Wagner or even like Cybernetico, get him involved into these mega title matches. Cause I think those are guys that fans really buy as the top stars. And if they can help transition the next generation into the same level that they had, AAA would be in a lot better place. But they keep sending off these older guys, letting them go, and you're seeing the results right now. But, I want to go back to the match. I thought, it was a very good match. The guys worked hard. You saw some dangerous spots there with Mike Bailey coming down on the double knees on the stack of people, and to set that up, that was really like that didn't look right, because Dog was in the middle of the ring and he had to walk out back to the corner to set up the move. Just little details like that. I actually think this could actually be Jack Cartwheel's last AAA match. Just because you see him. He's had an AEW appearance not long ago, and he's also been announced for that junior heavyweight show in Philadelphia, for New Japan. We know AAA and CMLL don't get along, and Silverano and Fugaz are also on that show, so maybe there's something going on there.
Yeah, I thought he did pretty good in this match. Everybody did. I would say, like I said, everybody had their spots. Really, it looked pretty good, and Vikingo was awesome, as you would expect. One thing I noted here, and kind of the part that I didn't like about the match, it was still a good match, and like I said, the best of the show, but I didn't like how we went right back to Daga and Tarantes, where it's like, oh, another, like, Tarantes spot on the show? Like, we saw 3 different ref matches here where, like, the ref is playing this big role, and he went to him a number of times, and it kind of distracted from the match overall, but I don't know if they're going to do something with Daga going forward with that, but I
just feel like the whole getting the referee involved is like normal by now in AAA.
Yeah, it's like the house style, practically. I see what you're saying. I just thought, oh man, you're doing the same things over and over in every match, like run-ins, weapons, referee spots. It's like, man, it's the same crap over and over.
They use a table in this one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, though, I like that's negatives on how the match laid out, not the workers. I thought they did a good job, and definitely the best match on the show, I would say. And a worthy title match. I think the best thing for Vikingo as champion would be just give him something to sink his teeth into. Give him a story. Give him a feud. Give him a rivalry. Like, you have guys that can do stuff. Build him up and not just do these random matches where, yeah, he looks spectacular. Maybe you'll have a good match. But give the fans a reason to get invested in him. Give him something to overcome, maybe. Like you said, those guys you mentioned, legends in AAA, that would be a good start. Yeah, again, you've got Casas right on the roster instead of wasting time with Nicho. Have him gun after Vikingo and do something long term with that, and really give Vikingo a chance to build something and get the fans to rally behind him as more than just a flashy luchador, but a guy that they want to rally and root for and love, truly.
Yeah, you don't really need a story either in AAA because they never finish them.
That's true as well. That's another problem. But they did finish the main event. Thank God, because this match was going forever. The Lucha de Apuestas 4-way match. Psycho Clown, Rush, LA Park, Sabadonis. As you said, everybody knew who was going to lose this match at the end of the day. Rush came out with his AEW crew here, and yeah, this was not as bad as the match with Pentagon and QT and those guys, I would say. And that's where my praise ends. I would say Bestia del Ring showed up in this match, of all people, which automatically does, that's terrible things. Rush attacked Tarantes at one point here. They were all doing kind of stuff. Psycho Clown really worked hard, I thought, of the 4. And, good worker as always. He ended up, they all got light tubes at one point, and Psycho ended up blasting Sam with it. And that let him hit the one-man Spanish Fly. And they tried to do a deal where, it was a double pin pretty much, where Psycho had pinned Sam and LA Park had pinned Rush. But because it's Roosh, he kicked out way earlier than he was supposed to, so the intended effect totally fell flat. And Sam just lost here, and as we all knew he would.
Yeah, I mean, a little better than the Latin American title match, but not much. Like you were saying, Psycho Clown coming off as the only guy working in the match, but, him and Sam, pretty even in effort. Roosh completely uninspired. He didn't give a shit. LA Park, it was just hanging out. They teased the double finish, but really nobody bought it. I think Roosh really got the most benefit out of this booking because he got to bring along his group, getting a main event spot, beating up Psycho Clown, everyone in LFI. The finish, confusing, yeah. Even more confusing for us viewers, who are watching the show, because the camera just completely missed.
Oh yeah.
the first count of, the one count. You only saw 2 and 3, and then you saw like referees, you only saw Tirantes' hand come down. You didn't really know that was the finish until like the delayed reaction from the fans and the announcers, of course.
Yeah.
So, just like, the same match that they've always had. You see them having this in every arena, on every indie show that they're on. Pretty much the same match, move for move. Nothing special by now. Just like, it felt very unimportant. You knew the result going in. You knew the result like a year ago. It's just like, why would you do this? Psycho Clown. Yeah, you're pushing him as the main guy, and you have been doing that for years and years, but you gotta find something, more challenging or more, something that the people can buy into, not Sam Adonis. I think that was really their failure there. The finish, during the finish, or before it, Sam Adonis gave Psycho Clown Tombstone, which is, a prohibited move in AAA. And they really sold that after the match, as a medical emergency. LA Park, LA Park really reacting hard to that. Grabbed the mic, live mic, and he's like, "Someone get in here!" And like, he's like yelling at the doctor, "Check on him right now! Like, check him out!" And the doctor is just like taking his sweet time, walking around the ring. LA Park's just going ballistic, trying to get him to hurry up. And then doctor's like signaling for to bring the stretcher from the back. LA Park gets mad. He's like, "Get in here first, see if he needs it first." And then the doctor's like all ashamed, gets in there, and then he does a signal. And then the stretcher guys come out, and then LA Park's just like, hurry up. Oh man. LA Park just sold this emergency so good. And the crowd like really bought it. They were like kind of silent after that. And they were just like in suspense what was going to happen with Psycho Clown.
You see them trying to cut the camera to find fans who looked worried.
Well, they found his wife. She was crying. As they took Psycho Clown away. Who didn't even get to celebrate his big win. Monumental win.
What if Park had punched the doctor?
Oh. If he would have reached for his mask, he would have.
See, and we would have gotten a memorable moment.
Yeah.
There. And what if the show ended with LA Park getting jumped by cops and drug out in handcuffs after assaulting a doctor?
I think that would have been the most memorable thing on the show.
Yeah, see, look at that. I'm already booking a better crazy pay-per-view than AAA did here. I will say this. I don't hate Sam Adonis, honestly. Like, I think he's a fine guy. Like, honestly. Even when he was getting you had the blood and the head shaved and all of that. And I thought he had pretty decent, like, heel, like, I'm pissed reactions pretty much here. I thought he did a good job in the match.
Yeah.
Like you said, he was the one that tried.
Park here was like, that one good actor that's in this shitty movie or TV show.
Yeah.
He's carrying the whole thing. That's LA Park here in the post-match. And he was even like going to host the hair cutting ceremony. He's like giving a play-by-play. And then, the doctor that came in, he's also the barber. So.
Oh, well, he's a multitasking doctor.
What a great, AAA moment there. And,
AAA, what are you doing? Like, what are you assholes doing right now?
Sam, after he got his hair cut, gave a closing statement. He said how much he loves Mexico and wrestling there, but he hates the people. The kids are fat, the women are ugly, and the men are all
not true.
Low class trash. So those are the words, he chose to go with, and he said he was the new face of AAA, and he thanks God he is not Mexican. So that's how the show ended.
It ended past midnight where we're at it, past 1 a.m. on the East Coast, past 11 even in Mexico time. So this show went on forever. Long story short, you fell asleep right after it. Let's be real. At the end, and I fell asleep shortly after. You did as well. So this show, what an event we watched here. I feel like. Do you feel like you gained anything from what?
I feel like it took away a lot more than what I gained.
We lost more than we gained. True. I mean, you can't argue that at the end of the day. I thought the title match was good, and I thought the Taya and Flemmer match, if the company was like competently booked in the other parts, that would have actually been a reason for positivity. Like, I thought they did a good job setting up Las Toxicas, and the match was fine too. Pretty good stuff. The rest, that 4-way match, I won't forget that at the end of the year when it comes to the worst match of the year awards. I promise I will remember that. In every company, again, even the worst companies you can think of, if it's DDT, like this was worse than those matches. I feel like, and more offensive to me watching, because you have guys in there that could have done better, but it's just, why would you want to do better when this is the material you're stuck with? And I'm sick of this AEW tribute show. We had multiple spots. We saw a Dynamite. We saw booking decisions. We saw for the Wembley. We saw people from AEW come in. What is this company right now?
This is what AAA's become. They're targeting the foreign audience, and they think that's their path to success.
Oh, and look how successful they were. Yeah. Like you said, empty seats in the arena.
Half-empty arena.
Yeah, half-empty arena. No Twitter engagement whatsoever. No award-winning matches. No smart matches or whatever that Conan rants about. Did Meltzer even cover this? I don't know, but I don't think he will if he didn't. And who can blame him at the end of the day? Nobody should. But we did because we love you, and we had to. We couldn't let this show slide. We had to cover it and view it. But if you're giving a rating for this show, it has to be 1 out of 10, maybe. I'll give him the title match and the women's, maybe a 2 for the women's match as well. But nothing that nobody should ever watch the show if they're smart. But with that said, we're gonna cut it off here because I don't want to stain the Anniversario by lumping it in with this show. So we will do another show about Anniversario in the near future. And it will be a lot more fun to talk about than this show, I would say. But do you have any parting words for all of the wonderful listeners out there to Lucha Talk?
Well, you can find me on Twitter, at MicromanFever, and you can tell me what you thought about TripleMania, because, I am curious about what other people thought about it, and if it is different than what I thought about it. So, there's lots to learn.
Life is about growth. Maybe we're the crazy ones. Maybe this show would be a show of the year candidate on so many people's ballots, if they had them. And if you feel that way, listen, I'm not going to shame you for it. I'm not going to insult you for it. You have the right to an opinion just like we do at the end of the day. I'm just telling you, for me, this show sucked. So maybe it didn't suck ass to you. Maybe it was good for you. That's fine. Nobody's hating you for it. Just let us know. And if you hated it, also let us know. We like that as well. Or you have any negative words towards AAA or anyone on the show or booking the show, anything goes. Positive, negative. We want the realness here. We don't want lies. We want the realness. So yes, please follow us and talk to us on Twitter. I'm at Viva_0. I will happily talk to you about any Lucha Libre show, whether AAA or CML or anything going on in America or Japan or wherever you watch wrestling and see luchadors at. What are they going to do on that junior show that you mentioned earlier? I know Enzo's on there, so it'll probably be a terrible show, but we do have some Mexicans on there to represent, so that's a good thing. But regardless of that, shows everywhere. It's all on the Cage Match website now too, where you can just go on the page, or really the podcast page, and it has the links to everywhere, like the Spotify, the iTunes, there's a YouTube. You get everything on there. It's very easy to find and listen to Lucha Talk. So hopefully you enjoyed the show. We didn't maybe love this show in particular, but there's going to be better days ahead. We're not going to be stuck like this forever, people. Much like life itself, I always say wrestling and Lucha Libre is a microcosm of the grand scheme of life. And much like life, there are downs, there's valleys, but then we're rising up. There's going to be good times ahead. So keep your faith strong, and hopefully you continue listening to Lucha Talk. Hopefully we have more fun in the future. Until next time, adios.